everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Worthy in Every Way. Today, I am here with the lovely Gina. Married at 19 due to a church purity contract, Gina spent over 2 decades as a stay-at-home mum raising three daughters before leaving a toxic marriage and starting over. Now a successful counselor with a private practice and over 500 couple wait list, she also speaks nationwide to empower young people to discover who they are before committing to marriage. As a UN consultant on women's economic and social status, Gina has traveled globally to advocate for victims of sex trafficking and promote self-sufficiency for women. Everybody, please welcome Gina.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so happy that you're on, Gina. It's lovely to meet you, and we can jump straight into the first question. So, Gina, my first question for you is how did your experience marrying young shape your sense of identity, and what internal shifts led you to reclaim your independence and return to college?
Well, I would say that I had to grow up really quickly, and all of my friends went off to college, and they were having a lovely time in the sorority and learning about themselves and playing sports. And I missed out on an entire section of development that we all as humans need trying to find ourselves. So my identity became a wife immediately, and my peer group was other women that were married right away. So I would say that it sort of pushed me into adulthood in some ways that I really wasn't ready for. So when you ask what happened, or the reason why I returned to college at 40, is because I was divorced. And what it comes down to is not being able to take care of yourself and being a dependent right away. And, I guess we think that we're in partnerships, which is ideally would be a great model. But in essence, if you're not working, you are a dependent. And I had a lot of responsibilities. I had a home and I have three children to take care of. So I had to get a career figured out right away. And so that's why I went to college, and I felt so old. I really felt old with all of the people that were in college at the time were very young. But I did it. And they told me at the beginning it's going to be 7 years to complete the psychology track. And I just nights and weekends, and some of the classes actually I did with my kids. I remember taking statistics with my oldest daughter. And she actually helped me out quite a bit about that, but I was just right along with them and in studies every night.
Amazing. And what would you say were the biggest challenges and growth moments that you had during your transition from tradwife to a licensed counselor and global advocate?
Challenges, I think the heartbreaking thing for me was I was like ostracized and um, like canceled from my community, right? So my friends and my support were all stay-at-home moms. And so for me to leave my home and go into a career was really looked down upon. It was actually looked as very selfish because prioritizing your family, and that meant being there for them all the time and being home and being at all the soccer games. That was what it was meant to be, like a very invested mom. So I had to build an entirely new peer group from the very beginning. And that was really challenging because there was a lot of hurtful things said. And I remember the language around this denomination was more about the noblest job that you can ever have. And the hardest job you can ever have is being a mother, and it'll be the most rewarding. Well, let me tell you, it is the hardest job, but I don't know if it's the most rewarding. It really doesn't come with promotions or praises or raises, right? And so, of course, I love my daughters now. They're like 36, 34, and 32. And they are wonderfully rewarding. But at the time, it was a lot of work. And I stopped believing it, that that was the only thing for me.
Amazing. And you are now a counselor and you do have a 500 couple wait list at the moment. Because of that, what core insight about relationships do you think more young people need to hear before getting married?
Wait. Just just take a pause. I mean, I have 10 hours a day of couples coming in with crises and some things feel small to me, but they're big to them. And some things are really big. There's infidelity, there's loss of a child, there's addictions, and a lot of these things are mismatches. And you have to remember that when everyone falls in love, we're running on that dopamine hormone that is very lusty. It sees all the commonalities. We think we have so much in common with that person, rose-colored glasses, but there are a lot of differences that don't come out for a few years. And so I always tell people, take your time. And even when you come into a serious exclusive relationship, consider going into counseling before you're engaged. Because I have people that come in for premarital counseling, but they already have the venue, they already have the dress, they've already kind of decided, and now they're coming in to figure out, if it's going to work out, and by then it's a little hard to stop the train. So I would really love it if people would take their time and they would, date lots of people and be safe, but get to know a lot of different people and how they resonate with you, right? Because it's not usually the first person that you meet that is the best match. So I could go on and on with this one.
No, that's all good. And if we go to teenagers, you've spoken to teenagers all across the country. What would you say is the most important message to share with them about self-worth, education, and falling in love?
That is a great question. I think really you have to know yourself. And you have to love yourself because if you don't love yourself, you can't truly love someone else. And if you're looking for someone else to fill that gap that you're looking for love, then it's like the magnet theory. You will probably attract another person who's broken. And so all of us are a work in progress, right? So learning to love yourself, really knowing who you are. Humans are chameleons and we try on a lot of different costumes. And the teenage years, late teenage years, and most of the 20s are trying on costumes. What colors do I like? What style do I like? What music do I like? What decor do I like? Do I want to be a sports person? Do I want to be athletic? Do I want to be a tech person? And all of these trying on different hats will hopefully conclude in something that really resonates. It's not just copying the crowd, right? And so, if you haven't gone through those developmental stages of learning to love yourself and kind of learning who you are, getting your education, getting a career, figuring out how to take care of yourself first, standing on your own 2 feet, then probably you're going to have a relationship that will fail. I mean, I hate to say it, but most people that get married in their early 20s will be divorced. And that falling in love thing, it feels so real, but the reality is that experience that will happen, falling in love, will repeat itself many times in your life. Matter of fact, there's 7 out of 100 people that will work as your perfect person. It's sort of a lie, that there's one out there, one soulmate. There's actually seven. There might be more than seven. So I try to keep people thinking sort of long term. We're not in a hurry here.
Amazing. And if we go back to you, how did stepping into your own power later in life help you rebuild your self-confidence and discover a deeper purpose?
Well, I'm not saying that being a mother and a wife is not a great purpose. And I think men can be fathers and husbands, and that can be a purpose for them too. But there is usually another calling. There is gifts, there are talents, and we don't have to use them all at the same time. And, my father lived till 95, and my grandparents lived to over 100. And my generation is supposed to be working till we're 70, and your generation may be working until you're 78. And we're supposed to live to, a ripe old age. And so there will be people that will have 3 to 5 careers. Completely different careers. So for me, it seemed really old at 40 because I'm turning 60. Now, it seemed like I was so old starting a career, but that really solidified my next purpose. I had a chapter of raising my kids, and then I have a chapter of my career. And I run into a lot of people that started out as a nurse and then they became an attorney, then they became an accountant, then they became a philanthropist. So retirement night might not be for everyone. As a matter of fact, I don't think retirement's going to be, at least in the United States, something that we can really look to. I think it's just finding the next purpose. And that's exactly what I did when I went back to school and I started my practice.
Amazing. And in your work with the United Nations and victims of trafficking, how has your global perspective influenced the way that you view women's autonomy and empowerment?
Well, it has been an honor being with the United Nations. And before that, I was doing a lot. Matter of fact, all of my vacations I spent doing humanitarian work and using my counseling degree in shelters and in orphanages and in safe houses. And it's what I wanted to do. And I still love doing that today. And I do a lot of it. But what I found like a common thread of your question is that women are the foundation of society. And there is no questioning it. I mean, across the globe, they're the glue. I mean, they are the ones that keep society functioning. I mean, did you know that 73% of all the farming in the world is done by women? Like out in the fields doing the food sourcing. And let's not forget, they're like 90% of cooking the food and preparing the food and feeding the children. They're almost 100% of the baby and infant care, and I think 80% of the elderly. So they're doing all of this substantial work to rise up society and their villages. And I just find it so exciting that they're so resilient and they're survivors because I've been to war-torn areas, I've been to places with famine, excuse me, and they find a way. I mean, if they have to relocate, if they have to find water, they do it. And I mean, I will continue to be amazed and in awe of what women are doing across the globe. I love going to UN meetings for the Women's Commission because we get all of the reports from all the countries. So creative. Their ideas are so creative on how to rescue victims of human trafficking, how to find new ways to cook food when there is no fire and no wood available, just solar suitcases and things like that. It's obviously you can see I'm passionate about this. I love seeing women thrive, and I feel like I learn more from them than I'm teaching them. I always learn something.
Amazing. And I have two more questions for you, Gina. So the first one is if you could go back and speak to your 18-year-old self, what would you say to her about worth, waiting, and the journey ahead of her?
Yeah. Mm. Your worth is not wrapped up in finding a husband. Be patient. You're whole and perfect on your own. God never made a half a person. Like you're complete how you're supposed, whatever you're supposed to contribute to the world, you have it in you. Like that's something I would have needed to hear. Finish college. Go finish college. It's not that hard and it's not that long. Looking back, it's just a speck in time. And I think probably another thing is get to know like other women that are older and wiser. Like not just the peer group, be it at-home moms or college girls or other people that are in your political party or whatever. Just like actually find other women that are business women that have wisdom and do apprenticeships, do internships, do business coaching with them, right? And I think that's something is really all young women need to do is find a mentor. Find a mentor that's an older woman that has gone before you and really hold on, right? And you'll learn from each other for sure. But I desperately needed that, I think.
And my last question for you, if you had one piece of advice for your future self, what would it be?
My future self. Never stop making an impact. Never retire. I know you want me to say relax and enjoy the journey, but I'll tell you what, I have a granddaughter and she's so sweet. Another girl, right? And I have a stepdaughter now. So there's all these women, these strong women, right? They're all educated. They're all just like, and of course, I'm already telling my granddaughter, age 2, you're amazing. You're amazing. You can do anything you want to do. But I'm not going to just give up my career to be the nanny of my granddaughter. I get her on Mondays. And I love that. I love having her on Mondays, but I'm not going to stop helping people. And so I will tell my future self, keep making an impact. Keep making an impact.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Gina. It has been absolutely amazing to hear your story and your words of advice as well.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, and thank you everybody for watching this episode of Worthy in Every Way. Stay tuned for the next one. Thank you.